All right, mates, welcome back to the channel. JL Scott Fishing and Eats news heading into ICAST 2023 down in Orlando, Florida is we have GSM Outdoors making some more moves in the fishing segment. Most people are familiar with GSM Outdoors brand product lines in the hunting space. Whether it be hunting, whether it be bow hunting, all those optics, all those space. You're going to see the brands here that are in the GSM Outdoors portfolio. It is a pretty stellar combination of brands, from everything from knives to optics, like I said, to hunting, whether it be accessories, gear, all of those things. And of course, known to be home to a few already very well established brands like Yamamoto Baits, right? Buckeye Lures, Steel Shad, I think. And these are their brands, okay? And then the news today is they will be adding 2 new companies to their portfolio. You can see here, these are the GSM brands, okay? And some of these are just flat out unbelievable product lines from these brands that they have put together in this portfolio. Now, GSM itself was taken with an investor group back in 2020, right around the pandemic, and positioned itself really to be able to capitalize on acquiring a lot more brands in the fishing segment. So you can just check out the names. A lot of these names you're going to be very, very familiar with if you ever go to any of the outdoor shows. There's one in Richmond, Virginia coming up the first week of August. And these are some of the brands that you typically see. Obviously, these big outdoor shows like in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the Great Outdoor Show, those things, because there's just such solid companies in the industry, okay? And so you have Stealth Cam, Walkers, Cold Steel, Wild Game Innovations, Hawk, Muddy, Birkwood, Casey, okay, all Ameristep, Tenzing, Halo Optics, okay, HS, American Hunter, Apex Gear, okay, Avion, Big Game, okay, Bloodsport, okay, Boss Buck, okay, the Buck Bomb. I mean, you've got all kinds of stuff. Coyote Light, Bullseye, Cyclops, Get Out of the Dark. I mean, they basically have been able to acquire a lot of companies that are in the middle tier of their development. If you look at it from a business perspective, they may not be the top known brand in their segment, but they're in the middle and they've been rising and increasing in notoriety, praise, product lines, and all that stuff. Strut, Struglo, Johnny Stewart, SME, Nap, Snenaway, Scent Slammer. These are, I mean, look, Skull Hooker. I mean, guys, you get Viking Solutions. You can see what I'm talking about here, okay? But let's get to the fishing ones. Yamamoto Baits, Bill Lewis, Steel Shad, Buckeye Lures, right? Now heading into ICAST, GSM Outdoors has announced the acquisition of one of our really like favorite soft plastic producers in Big Bite Baits. You guys are well familiar with Big Bite Baits, okay? We got, we talk about Big Bite Baits a lot when it comes to smallmouth fishing because of their Smallie Smasher, okay? The Smallie Smasher still comes. Sometimes the colors are a little bit difficult to find, regionally, but you obviously can go straight through Big Bite Baits. But they've got a 3.5 inch and a 4.5 inch. The 3.5 inch is a 12 pack. The 4.5 inch is a 10 pack Smallie Smasher. It's a perfect drop shot bait for those smallies on a lot of those New York lakes. As well as some of the lakes we have here in Western Maryland, like Jennings Randolph, and then lakes like Smith Mountain Lake down in Virginia. It can be easily nose hooked. It has a really thin spine. It creates like really a big action for a small bait like that and its profile, which I think really is what makes it so appealing to the smallies. Rib body, flat tail. It gets you that water displacement that you're looking for, and the profile is like a darter goby kind of like, I think, and depending on what you have, to me it just mirrors more like a darter. It's why it works so well, like in the Susquehanna, the 3.5, and then the 4.5 tends to work better in your larger and deeper reservoirs. And so GSM, it's kind of like taking big bites, and they also acquired D&J Plastics. D&J Plastics has been around for 45 years. In terms of taking big bites to like the next level, really probably in terms of placement and all that. I mean, Big Bite Baits is still relatively, in terms of a brand, in terms of market penetration, in that tier below the main, quote, in quotes, known brands that you're going to find like at ICAST this week, or that most people out on the Elite Series or BBT, that the bigger brands like Berkeley and things like that Strike King, that most people, doesn't matter what tier of fishing they're in, from recreation to competitive, are very, very familiar. Those become name brands. Those brands are like the Coca-Cola or the Pepsi of bass fishing, right? They're known brands by even anglers who don't fish and people who have never even picked up a fishing rod. They know those brands, right? And so that's the next future for Big Bite Baits, is to break into that. And they have a very, very wide product line. If you've seen their catalog, that you can get at bigbitebaits.com. You can order, and they will send you in the mail their 2023 catalog. So it's just another one of these stories, of companies that start out with a vision, with a dream of their own, and they're pouring plastics, and they just keep doing it, and doing it right, and then basically they attract bigger time investors. Big Bites Baits, probably most well-known pro is Michael Neal. He's probably the most known, at least to me. There's a few others, but at least to me, I would think that Michael Neal is probably the most known name for Big Bite Baits. That you hear the most about, just because he's such a hammer. And so that's going to be really interesting when you now combine some of these other elite anglers and MLF Bass Pro Tour anglers that are already sponsored by, Yamamoto, Little Lewis, Steel Shad, Buckeye Lures. Okay, so it's like, they become part of that family now too, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of cross promotion that we start to get in the fishing segment with some of these other brands that would be traditionally outdoor brands, not fishing segment brands. But you're seeing a lot more of this in the industry, and we're going to see a lot more at these expos and these shows. Okay, where there's cross market, cross segment utilization by these brands now, because they want to attract more and more people, to their product lines. And they're broadening their product lines to cover fishing now, which may have been a traditional outdoor tent company, outdoor accessory, camping company, your hunting accessories, knives, all those different things are starting to now creep really into being part of the fishing segment as well. So it's really going to be interesting to see this. So pretty exciting, I think, for Big Bite Baits to be part of this family now, and really tap into probably some of the supply chain, some of the business development, some of the marketing that these other brands, bring to the table, in terms of learning from other brands as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see. So that is a development going into ICAST that just happened this week. Again, Big Bite Baits and D&J Plastics being acquired by GSM Outdoors. All right, mates.